Hello, everyone. This is Jessica coming to you live from Assisi Yoga. I am a new addition to the Assisi Yoga team. I've done some subbing and have had the pleasure of meeting some of you, but I've now joined the team permanently. So I'm looking forward to having more opportunities to work with all of you in the days ahead. Before we get started, while we just wait for the top of the hour, I wanted to remind folks that on Sunday, the Peace and Hope event begins at the Assisi Institute, October 4th. So if you would like to learn more about what's happening with that event, please check it out on the website and you'll be able to get more information there. So today, as we're preparing to get started, I wanted to let you know that we're going to keep the practice pretty basic as we start to learn more about each other in the process. And especially as we're settling into fall, I think it's a good idea to come back to some of the things that we know well and give ourselves the space to turn inward, a lot of room to reflect. So that's where we'll be today as we move forward with our practice. So as we get started, I encourage you to just find a comfortable seat, maybe on a bolster or some blankets stacked. If you need support under the knees, take what you need so that you can be comfortable. And once we get there, we'll take just a little bit of movement, forward and back, side to side. So we find ourselves sitting right on top of the sitting bones. We do this to help naturally elongate the spine. We want the hips up a little higher than the knees, pretty close to right on top of the sitting bones, maybe just a tiny bit in front of them until we start to feel a bit of lower lumbar curve. And then we can take the lower part of the scapula, the shoulder blades in the back, draw them in toward each other and toward the center of the spine so that we feel the chest naturally lift as a result. We'll let the shoulders drop back and down, the eyes close. Now, even though we have created all of this length through the center of the body, we start to let the outer sides of the body release. The shoulders soften toward the floor, the outer rib cage, the hips. So I feel tall and stable, weight settling into the seat. I feel the movement of gravity through my body as the weight drops down more and more with each breath. As the body is settling, I'm taking a moment to notice where I find myself this evening. What aspect of myself sat down for my yoga practice? What am I still carrying? And is it possible for the next 45 minutes to release some of the weight that we're carrying around with us? You're connecting in with the movement of the breath, not trying to change anything, just to notice the tempo, where it moves in the body. Does it stop in the chest, lower rib cage, abdomen? Are the breaths full or shorter? Just to notice what's here now. Keeping this posture of the body, keeping the eyes closed if you wish. Going to allow the muscles in the back of the neck to release so the chin drops down to the chest. The head bows, and I feel how that one change impacted the structure of the body, how I can feel it moving down the spine. How are the shoulders affected? The hips, the knees. We'll begin to move the head from side to side, slowly, as though it were a pendulum, moving, swinging lightly from side to side. The shoulders remain as they are. It's just the head. And the next time the head moves to the right side, we're going to let it rest there, with the right ear resting over the right shoulder. The left shoulder is drawing back and down softly. You feel the left side of the neck exposed, lengthening with each breath. Next exhalation, we release, allowing the chin to drop chin to chest. And then we take the head over to the other side, left ear to the left shoulder, holding here. As we inhale, maybe we feel like the inhalation can move directly into the area of tightness where the muscle is lengthening, almost like we're blowing a little balloon up underneath the muscle. And as we exhale, we're letting some of that tension go right along with the exhalation. Exhale, release chin to chest. And we switch to the other side one more time, right ear to right shoulder. And then we gently turn the chin in toward the right shoulder until we feel the small muscles on the side of the neck here begin to engage. Staying with that lengthening. Exhale, release chin to chest. And then over to the other side, left ear to left shoulder. And turning the chin in toward the left shoulder. And we exhale, release chin to chest. And on the inhalation, we'll draw the head back up into neutral position. We'll slightly reposition the legs. So we're going to bring the right heel directly in front of the left. If you can, the heels are lifted so that they're moving almost up towards the ceiling. Not all bodies will support that. So we just come as close to that position as possible. If we need to move the legs out a little more, we take that. And we're going to inhale, sit up nice and tall. And then exhale, we'll lengthen forward from the hip crease. The fingertips can come to the floor. And we're going to start to slowly walk our way down toward the floor. Now, as we move, we may find places where the spine feels a little sticky. The body is telling us we need to just pause here for a moment. Maybe from time to time we inhale, lift the chest a bit, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, see if we can get a little more release. We come a little closer to the floor. And we'll walk the fingers over to the right side, keeping the spine long, not letting the right side of the body collapse. Pressing back through the left hip, moving back and down as the left side of the body lengthens. And inhale, we walk the hands back through center. And then exhale over to the other side. Again, not going so far that the left side of the body starts to contract too much or we lose space on the left side of the body. Right hip pressing back, away and down. The right side of the body gets long. And we inhale, coming back to center. And then as we exhale, we see if the body wants to release a little bit more now that we've released the side body. And inhale, press into the hands, coming all the way up. And exhale, softening. And we're going to switch position of the feet. So we bring now the right foot a little closer to the pelvis and the left foot is in front. We're going to take the same thing one more time just to make sure we're keeping the lengthening even from side to side and stretch that we're getting through the hips. So we inhale, sit up tall, and exhale, start to lengthen forward again from the hip crease. Keeping this length, letting the chest lift a bit, looking slightly forward without crunching the back of the neck. And exhaling, maybe we walk the hands a little farther forward. And this time we'll walk the fingertips over to the left side. Pressing back through the right hip. And if we feel like we need to increase the stretch a little more, we're just going to lift lightly from the outside of the armpit on the right side. So just a very small lifting of the outer armpit to get a little more length on the right side of the body. And then we inhale back to center. And exhale over to the other side, walking the hands over. Taking a moment, press the left hip back. And then perhaps that little bit of lift from underneath the outer left armpit. And we inhale back to center. One more time, seeing if the torso wants to release a little farther forward. Lots of length here. And then we'll press into the fingertips. Lift the torso. Good, and exhale, soften. We'll bring the arms out to the sides, palms facing out, thumbs back. Inhale, reach the arms up tall, pressing through the sitting bones at the same time, fingertips reaching up toward the ceiling. And exhale, we're going to twist over to the left side. Lead with the left shoulder. Take the right hand to the outside of the left thigh. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Left shoulder draws back a little farther. Holding here for a moment, letting the shoulders soften. And inhale, we open the arms wide again, reach them up toward the ceiling. Fingertips press, sitting bones press down. And exhale, twisting over to the right side, right shoulder reaching back, left hand to the outside of the right thigh. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, twist. Inhale, we reach the arms all the way up, letting the head, the gaze follow the hands, and exhale, releasing the hands down. And again, we'll slightly reposition. We're going to bring the feet, the soles of the feet together, coming into Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet together, toes are spread wide away from each other. The knees are releasing down toward the floor. If you feel like you need a little bit of support under the knees, feel free to take it. We're going to work with something for a moment that comes from Dr. Long, just to give a little bit of additional awareness of what's happening in this pose. So I want you to have a little bit of room for movement here. So the first thing we'll do, just bringing the hands to rest on the front of the shin bones. Again, we're sitting up tall and we're on top of the sitting bones. And we're going to squeeze the calf muscles in toward the back of the thighs or the hamstrings. And just noticing for ourselves as we take that action of drawing the calves and hamstrings together, whether we have an evenness from side to side energetically. Is the strength the same from side to side? Do I feel released more on one side than the other? And exhale, we'll soften and release. And now to see what happens when we engage a different set of muscles. So this time we're going to take the muscles on the outer hips and the glutes, and we're going to contract those muscles firmly, noticing as we do that what happens with the knees. So I start to squeeze outer hips and glutes, and just feel if the knees float down a little more toward the floor. And as that's happening, I see, do I get more release on one side than the other? Are the knees tighter on one side or more open? Just to see for myself. Exhale, we'll soften and release those muscles. Again, we sit up tall, use the front of the shin bones for a little bit of support, and then we're going to lengthen forward. So at first the chest is lifted and I'm again folding from the hip crease. And once I've gone as long as I can, I'm going to let the head release. Lengthening out, the low back lengthens, back of the neck, the shoulders release and relax. We take a few breaths here just to be with the body. We inhale, use the floor for support, lift the chest. And we use the hands, open the legs out to the sides. They don't need to be extremely wide, but as wide as you can comfortably go. Making sure kneecaps are up toward the ceiling and the toes are up toward the ceiling. And we're going to begin with the fingertips on the floor, pressing into the fingertips so the chest lifts. Come into a baby back bend here. I don't fling my chin back. The chin is still slightly tucked so the back of the neck can stay long. And then on the next exhalation, we're going to start to walk the hands forward and move the torso in the opposite direction. Sitting bones are still pulling back behind me as I start to lengthen forward. Press the heels away. The hands are slowly working their way forward. And in the same way that we were watching for before, there are going to come moments where I can feel that this is a place I need to pause for a moment. Some of us may be down a little farther, some may be up farther. You just take that moment, respect the needs of the body. Maybe we press lightly into the hands, lift the chest a bit, find a bit more length. And then as we exhale, releasing, letting the torso come down a little farther if it will. We do that a few more times with the breath. And we may find a spot where it's clear, this is where I need to pause. We can work toward more engagement to open the back of the hamstrings and get a little more release. So if we wish, we can start to draw the kneecaps toward the hips, contracting the quadricep muscles in the front of the legs. And by doing that, the back of the hamstring should release a little bit more. And maybe we get, again, a little more release forward. And we'll inhale, press into the hands, start to come up. Holding this position, we're just going to take the right hand and start to reach it toward the right foot. Now, if you can only get as far as the right calf, you'll stop there. If we can get all the way to the arch of the right foot, keeping the spine long, we'll hold the inner arch. Left hand is just resting on the opposite thigh, and then I'm going to draw my left shoulder back to open the chest, pressing the heels away, keeping the neck in line with the spine. And we'll inhale, come up straight. And then switch sides. We'll start to slide the the left hand down the leg, maybe pausing at the calf or reaching for the left inner arch of the foot. Draw the right shoulder back, open this pose up. Now we have to keep the left side of the body as long as we can. If we start to draw back and the left body is short, we're going to get a lot of crunching in there. The internal organs aren't going to like that too much. So we want to try and maintain the length as we open. And inhale. Come straight. Use the hands to help bring the feet together. And we're going to reposition onto hands and knees, tabletop position. Some of you may want to have a blanket under the knees as we move forward, just to give a little bit of support. It's not required, but it's nice. So I'm going to take my blanket under my knees, just in a standard fold. Walk my hands forward, spread the fingers wide, checking in to see that the hands are just an inch or two in front of the shoulders, that I have enough space here between the hands and the knees for the body to move, that I feel the connection of the hands on the floor. Feel the texture of your mat before we ever begin to move. Just to know we're connected. In a moment we'll begin our spinal waves, but we never let go of this connection of the hands on the floor. So when we're ready, we begin at the pelvis and we start to tuck the tailbone. And as we do that naturally, the low back will start to round, and then mid back, and the crown of the head will tuck in toward the tailbone. And then as we inhale, we lift the tailbone gradually and just follow that chain of movement. The belly drops, chest moves, opens between the arm bones, and the head finally lifts. We continue to move that way a few times with the breath, always starting with the pelvis. Follow that chain. It's a natural movement. Once we begin the action in the spine, in the tailbone, in the pelvis, it'll continue to move naturally through the rest of the spine, the neck, and the head. Let's take it one more time in each direction. Good. And then we're going to press all the way back. Come into child's pose. Press into the hands. So the feet moves back toward the heels. Maybe opening the knees enough so that there's room for the chest to fall. We want some rounding in the spine, so we don't try and get the spine completely flat here. Allowing the forehead to release. And taking a moment to simply be with the breath. There's no hurry. Nowhere else to be right now. We begin to prepare for a transition. So I'm pressing firmly into my hands. I'm drawing my shoulders down the back, shoulder blades moving toward the center of the spine. I'm starting to tuck the toes. And as though someone were pulling the tailbone or the sitting bones up by cables, we draw up into our down dog position. Now, initially, maybe we keep the knees a little bit soft so that we can find lots of length here in the position. We still have that connection of the hands on the floor. I know my hands are connected here. Maybe we pedal the feet out a little bit, letting one heel drop as the other lifts. Nice and slow. And then we will lift both heels for a moment. Check in with our position. Sitting bones draw up, the chest moves toward the upper thighs, and we let the heels start to settle toward the floor. The head is hanging, almost completely hanging between the upper arm bones. If it's not quite there, we pretend almost like someone's grabbing the back of the ears and just pulls the head back up a little bit so that it's right in line with upper arm bones. Good, and now we're gonna start to press into the hands, walk the hands back toward the feet, coming into a forward fold. Maybe you just slide your blanket out of the way here. Let the knees be soft. The chest drapes over the thighs. We'll inhale, come up into tabletop position. Get the torso long. Hands can rest on the shin bones or the thighs, or maybe on the floor if we can keep the torso long in that position. Taking a couple breaths as we press the sitting bones away, crown of the head forward, shoulders drawing back. Next, exhale, just let the hands slide down the front of the shin bones, coming back into your forward fold, bending the knees as much as you need to as you go. And here we let ourselves hang for a moment. And then we'll sit back a little bit and start to lift the chest, looking forward. Press into the feet, we'll open the arms, come all the way up to standing. Press into the fingertips, press into the feet, looking up toward the hands. And then exhale. We release the arms all the way down. And we'll take a few familiar standing poses. So we're going to step to the front of the mat. And we'll step the left foot back. So the feet are roughly 3 feet apart. If we extend the arms, the ankle bones are directly beneath the wrists. And I'm going to look forward over the front hand. Hips are drawing back as I reach forward. Now, some of you may want a block here, because once we reach as far forward as we can go, we're just going to tip the arms. And this should be the right position of our arms for triangle pose. I'm drawing the right hip crease back toward the back foot, keeping the right side of the body nice and long. Shoulders draw away from the ears. Good. Inhale, come up to standing, press into the feet, reach the left hand back. And then we're going to take the front knee and track it forward toward the second and third toe, coming into a lunge. We come into Virabhadrasana 2, or Warrior 2. Right knee directly over the ankle. If you need a little extra length there, you can adjust the feet slightly. And then we're going to exhale, let the right forearm release onto the top of the right thigh. Initially, I'm just letting this back hand rest on my low back with the palm out. And then maybe we extend the arm up. And then if you wish, extend it forward so that we have one long line from the outer edge of the back foot, which is sealed down to the floor, all the way up to the fingertips. And we inhale, we come up to standing into our Virabhadrasana 2. Straighten the front leg. And exhale, just let the arms release for a moment. We're going to change the position of the feet slightly. So I'm going to roll my right foot in, turn the left foot out, lengthen the arms out. If you need your block, just grab your block, bring it to the outside of the left ankle. Arms extend, looking out over the left hand. Draw the right hips back, and then reach. And we tip the arms here, finding the floor or our block. Find the position, right arm directly over the left. Shoulders drawing away and in toward each other. They're contracting in. Lost an earbud there. And inhale, come all the way up. Looking back over the left hand. Keep some awareness on the outer edge of the right foot as we track that front knee forward toward the second and third toe until the knee comes directly over the ankle. Holding here in our Vira 2. And then we'll release the right hand for a moment and start to move the left arm forward toward the left thigh. Take a moment to draw the right shoulder back. Make sure the chest is very open. The left side of the body is long. Outer edge of the right foot firm on the floor. And then maybe we extend this right arm up. And if you wish, taking it all the way over, you find the place that works for you, even if we have to go all the way back to the hand resting on the hip. And inhale. Come all the way back up to Vira 2. Straighten the front leg. And exhale, release the hands. Turn the left toes in. And we're going to have both feet, so the toes are turned in slightly. We want to be just a little bit pigeon-footed here. And I'm going to start with my hands on my hips, just roll them back a little bit. Draw the elbows back toward each other. Roll the shoulders up toward the ceiling and then down the back. Elbows squeezing. Finding engagement through the legs. The outer edges, the outer arches of the feet drawing up to the hips. Inner arches of the feet drawing into the inner groin. And as we start to come forward, the sitting bones are lifting and the torso moves because the sitting bones lift. And I come to the point where I'm parallel with the floor. From here, we'll release the hands. If you need to have blocks under the hands, we could take that here. Inhale, we press into the fingertips and look a little bit forward, making sure we still have that engagement with the legs. Inhale, and exhale, we're going to start to bend the elbows back and release forward, lifting the sitting bones again as we go. Coming into your wide leg forward fold. Now, if you're relatively close to the floor, there are a couple things we could do. We could just rest the head on a block. If you're really close, we might walk the feet out a little bit wider so that we have the space to bring the head all the way to the floor. And if we're not close at all, we just give ourselves a little bit of extra support with the hands. We take a few breaths here. Inhale, press into the hands, lift the chest again a bit, look a little bit forward. Start to toe heel the feet in so they're a little wider than hip distance. The knees will bend. And we're going to come down through a squat and then just use one hand to support you as you come all the way back down to your mat. And we're going to lower ourselves right down to the floor. So flat on your back, feet on the floor. Take a moment here before we add anything else. Just let the back release, soften, connect with the breath. Good, and we're going to cross the right ankle over the left knee. And just using the strength of the right thigh, press the right knee away from the torso. Now, for some of you, this is going to be enough. If you already feel you have plenty of stretch happening on the outside of the hip, you'll just stay here, continuing to work toward left foot pressing into the floor, right knee pressing away. Maybe you need just a little bit more lift to block underneath the left foot. If we can, we're going to draw the left thigh in toward the torso. The hands are going to reach back behind the thigh. So the right hand will actually be between the legs. Interlace the fingers behind the thigh. I'm going to draw my sacrum down toward the floor. Tuck my chin in just a little bit. With the next exhalation, I'm going to draw the left thigh in toward the torso. And again, press the right knee away. So here, the left leg can be almost offline. The right foot is flexed, running parallel to the left thigh. We can take that a couple more times. Exhale, draw the left thigh in. And then press the right knee away. And then we hold here with tension where it's needed and release where it's not. And we'll release the grip on the leg. Let the foot drop back to the floor. Cross the right knee all the way over the left. Bring the arms out to the side in a T position with the palms facing up. And on the next exhalation, we're going to just let the knees gradually drop over to the left side. Coming into our twist. Maybe we lift the right hip a little higher toward the ceiling so we can move deeper into the twist. If you wish, you could take the left hand to the top of the right thigh and draw it a little closer to the floor. Just making sure that the right shoulder stays connected down. It's more important that we keep that shoulder in contact with the floor than bringing the right knee closer to the floor. And we inhale back to center. releasing the left arm, drawing the knees back to center and uncross. And then we'll switch sides. So the left knee is going to cross over the right. We take a minute here, press into the right foot, press the left knee away. Notice for yourself if this is enough. If we'd like to add more, we draw the right knee in, interlace the fingers behind the right thigh. Let the right leg release. Flex the left foot, sacrum down toward the floor, shoulders away from the ears, chin slightly tucked so the back of the neck is long. Exhale, see if you can pull the right thigh in a little closer and press the left thigh away. And again, releasing all the breath. Right thigh draws in a little closer. Left thigh pressing away. And next exhalation, we'll release the hold on the back of the leg. Right foot releases to the floor. Left knee crosses all the way over the right. Arms come out to the side in T position. Inhale and exhale. We'll let the knees drop over to the right side. Maybe taking the right hand to the top of the thigh. And inhale. We come back to center. Uncross the legs. And we prepare for Shavasana, our final resting pose. So we may find that after our practice, our back is quite flat and we feel comfortable just simply moving into corpse pose, lengthening the legs out, bringing the hands out to the sides with the palms up, checking in, the chin slightly tucked, the shoulder blades slightly under the body, and we let ourselves settle. If we realize we need a little more support, maybe the low back is a little tweaky, or we just want to be able to come into a place of deep comfort and we don't think we can get there from corpse pose, maybe we take a little pillow under the head and take a bolster or a rolled blanket up under the knees. So I can just slide something there so the knees are lifted slightly. And we start to settle in. Hands out to the sides, maybe 8 to 12 inches, palms up. And we let the body begin to release. Melt down toward the floor. My friend has decided to join me for Shavasana here. If we need an anchor for the mind, if we notice the mind still is wandering, we can always connect in with the movement of the breath. But if we feel that at this point in the practice, the mind is relatively quiet, then perhaps we just allow for this complete openness and relaxation of both the body but also the mind. The awareness opens to receive what's here now. So if you've settled in and you have the extra time and you want to stay here a little longer, by all means, take the time that you can. Let yourself to continue releasing here. Otherwise, we'll begin to roll to one side, moving into the fetal position. Let the head just rest on the arm for a moment. And then keeping the eyes closed and the head heavy, begin to press into the lower arm, press into the hand, drawing ourselves back up to seated. Perhaps drawing our hands into heart center. Thank you for joining me tonight. Be well. Namaste. It was a pleasure having you here. I hope to see you again. If you feel so compelled, donations are always welcome to Assisi Yoga. You can make a donation on the website. And otherwise, I'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care, my friends.